and welcome to today's episode of the Boston BioLife Innovation Series. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Stephanie Dainow. She's the Executive Director of Lifespan IO, and she'll be talking to us about some of the things that they're doing and their participation in the upcoming Healing Future Health Summit. So Stephanie, thank you very much for being here with us. We look forward to hearing about Lifespan IO.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, this is a wonderful opportunity to connect the dots between different organizations and initiatives and this overall goal of more collaboration and awareness and advocacy for, the deep and important tech and science research that many people who are participating and who are tuning in are actively engaging in. Lifespan.io is a 501c3 US-based nonprofit advocacy foundation that kind of represents the entire longevity, biotech, and rejuvenation science industry and movement. We've been around for almost 10 years, and our goal is to accelerate the progress across the entire industry by generating more awareness of the mission and the potential impact of what the work can do for our society through strategic media initiatives that target the general public and make the complex science easier to understand and engage with and get behind. My background is a variety of marketing, advertising, and media experience, but specifically with business development as an underlying framework. And I kind of pivoted when I realized I wasn't super interested in getting commercial products in front of consumers. I was more B2B behind the scenes. And I ended up, really wanting to promote the value of not only accelerating, but converging exponential technologies. And I think the longevity field is one of those areas that has perfect synergy there. So I ended up moving to Silicon Valley and working at Singularity University, being kind of the manager of the global partnerships with Deloitte and Becton Dixon and Pfizer and Google. And what we would do is we would go to the leaders of these massive corporations and say, look, you need to learn about these exponential technologies and work with us to figure out how to incorporate one of them into your business model so that you don't get disrupted by a completely different industry that you're not ready for, while also having a positive social impact. And that's really when I started to engage in longevity biotech. My father was born in the 1930s and had me in his 50s, and he was suffering from heart disease. So I've grown up with parents that experience age-related diseases and concerns for death. And so that's just a little bit about my background. I'm happy to share more, but hopefully you've gotten some context around what my motivations and drivers are for really trying to push this field forward.
Sure. So Lifespan IO provides resources for new technologies that have the potential to impact the healthcare community?
Yes, and then some. Absolutely. And it's a matter of not only just basic science and research and understanding the processes of aging and the possibilities around either preventing or treating or minimizing the suffering associated with aging-related diseases, but also working with strategic media initiatives, like I mentioned, movies, documentaries, engaging influencers to try and expand the awareness and prompt more public discussion about the value of what everyone here is doing.
So I think this dovetails nicely from a lot of different perspectives. Boston BioLife is really interested in creating the concept of personalized precision medicine, or I like to say it do-it-yourself healthcare, with a patient really the advocate and driving the decision-making based on their awareness. And it's somewhat ironic that we've been conditioned to believe that healthcare providers have some magic educational or intellectual advantage over the general population, but yet we're computer programmers and astronauts and scientists and airline pilots, and we do the most complex things every day. And I think it's really incumbent for people to be able to understand their own body, their own pathophysiology, and science behind longevity, health, and wellness. Because let's face it, our health and our life is our most precious resource, and the quality of that life is the most important aspect. So to that degree, I think the awareness creation that you have is very important. And so tell us some of the things you do to help companies. I know you talked about crowdsourcing as one of the areas to fundraise as well as create awareness.
Yeah, and so I think there's this two-part. One is how we help companies, but how we also help drive the movement, generally speaking. So with companies, yes, it's getting them connected to possible funding opportunities and also helping to translate the science into something that someone can read about really quickly and say, okay, wow, I understand this. I can relate to this. This is important, versus you start reading a very complex scientific article that's published in a science journal, and people's eyes glaze over, and it's understandable. The target audience needs to be specifically considered when you're actually trying to make a point about something important. Beyond that, we have video collaborations where we work with sponsors and we say, okay, this is the topic we're going to present. How can we incorporate your mission into kind of the script and the narrative of this video, and get people to actually drive traffic to your website and learn more about what you're doing? We do interviews. We have the conference series. We prompt more dialogue. We have all sorts of assets to help people have better conversations, even with, their friends and families about what they're doing in the lab. But beyond that, from a movement perspective, we're on the cusp of locking in some big partnerships where we are going to poll entire populations of certain countries and understand and evaluate the insights that we get from that to kind of diagnose why aging research funding isn't being deployed properly. And is that because of certain members of government, or deeply seated belief structures? Right now, if you go to someone random on the street and you ask them, what is your belief? They'll probably say, okay, you're born, you age, it's natural, and then you suffer and you die. And they're under the impression that it's just inevitable. But if you really think about it, back in the day, we didn't have antibiotics, we didn't have statins, and we're extending longer, healthier life and health span and lifespan because of revolutionary, transformative, disruptive developments with science and technology. So we have to remind people about this. And so leveraging these insights will help us understand the best ways to actually confront such misconceptions and biases. Furthermore, we're looking to engage, Hollywood celebrity influencers to get our media and content in front of larger audiences, way beyond who's already coming to our website. I can be more specific, but I'll pause there. The one thing I'll say is this is a nonprofit organization that's punching way above its weight in terms of the amount of budget that we have available to us and what we're actually putting out there. And I want to make sure that it's being used as effectively as possible. And so that's one of the reasons I'm grateful for the opportunity to even speak here with you about this and share all these opportunities for people to leverage.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the purposes we're all excited about, the meeting that Desiree has created, and even the virtual aspect of it will bring together people with, like-minded views with similar missions but different perspectives. And really, without the educational component and without the patient engagement component, and as you mentioned, translational medicine is bringing the science to the clinic. And so it's kind of like when people said years ago, where are the flying cars, right? Where are the cures? We've been funding medical research for 100 years. And I think it's because things don't translate. They don't translate because of things like technology, transfer limitations, and patents, and funded research projects end. And really, it's difficult to get from laboratory to the clinic because of FDA and other regulatory initiatives. But there really is a strong movement afoot that patients can be more involved. And I think the more you do educate them, the more surprised we are by their willingness to participate and their value. They see the value in it. So you're doing something that's really amazing. And we'd like to learn more. So how do people find your website?
Thank you for that. And I absolutely agree. And, we're just here trying to help the social cause. The website's lifespan.io. And on there are so many other avenues that, you can actually veer off into, whether it's various YouTube channels where you have millions of subscribers, different types of content being produced on different platforms. Life Noggin is one of our educational and edutainment YouTube channels that I would absolutely check out and subscribe to. We have Lifespan News, which are weekly recaps of what's going on in the field with a little bit of a comedic twist to make it fun and engaging and easy to share. We have different social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. But most importantly, I would subscribe to our newsletter on our website, because that's where all the information comes in. You can get editorials that tell you not only what's going on in our field and all the people that we're trying to promote, but what are we doing at Lifespan and what's the newest and latest, so you can stay up to date and find ways to engage. And we have a public Discord as well, where people are talking about different initiatives, different challenges, brainstorming together. So there's plenty of ways. I think it all starts at our website.
So thank you very much for taking some time. We look forward to working with you in the future, and hopefully people can visit your website. And as always, we're asking people to come to the Bahamas to support HEAL Inc. Future Health Innovation Summit, because that's where the rubber hits the road, where the action takes place, and people can come together, share ideas, and provide advocacy for the field of health span, longevity, and anti-aging, longevity, etc. So thank you very much, Stephanie, for your time, and thank you for coming to Boston BioLife.
Thank you for having me, and it's going to be a fantastic event, and I hope everyone enjoys it. And thank you again for having me here.